The first time we saw Deimos was over a year ago in the 6th Invitational 2023 as the main villain for the Team Rainbow, and in this year's event he got introduced as the new operator in Year 9, Season 1. And although the hype was very cleverly built around him by Ubisoft, the operator, who at first sight looked particularly strong for many players, raised a lot of questions about the next season's meta. Even though a lot of changes are coming next season, like the longly awaited Azami nerf or the removal of the 1.5 scope, in this video the main topic is the new operator. It's important to point out that the test server is not available yet at the time I'm recording this video. Maybe it will when you will see this video, but currently when I'm recording it's offline. So I will share my opinion based on my first impressions, starting with his loadout. I was very happy when I saw that he got the AK-74M, which we can also play with Nomad as his primary weapon. And when I saw it, I was glad to see that Ubisoft continued their habit of giving new operators weapons that had not been actively used for a long time, because either the alternative option was better, like Maverick's DMR, which was compensated to Barrow, and also our current weapon, this AK-2, because let's be honest, Nomad's other weapon, the ARX, is way better in everything except mag capacity. Or simply everyone just forgot that the alternative option can work just as well in different situations, like the P90 for the French defenders, which got noticed because of Solis. And I would like to see them continue this habit for the future operator loadouts as well, and because the removal of the 1.5 scope, maybe Moses Commando will get a bit more love too. My two problems with this is that you can't put any other scope to this except a 1x, which can be a big disadvantage since most of the operators have ACOGs in the new scope system, and because most of the times you will see the secondary weapon in your hand, which I will explain later, you're not going to use this AK that much, so what I said about this off-meta weapon habit, it's not really going to work on Deimos, even though I believe Ubisoft is doing this right with these weapons. His other primary weapon is the M590A1 shotgun, which I wouldn't talk much about since it's not common for attackers to bring shotguns, except maybe for Amaru, whose fast playstyle and secondary SMG might be a good reason for it, but it can be useful for Deimos too, knowing the fact that you can only put 1x scope to his AK. This is one of the best shotgun in the game, which you can use in close range if you cancel your ability and your targeted opponent is close to you. And also, you can use the shoddy because just like with Amaru, you have a reliable secondary weapon, which is the brand new gun in the game, the .44 Vendetta revolver. This weapon has the same scope of Nomad and Kate's pistol, but with the difference of not giving you a bigger extension, so it's a one-time scope, which is also a very good choice by Ubisoft, since you can only use that weapon while your ability is active, just like with Caveira, and you're not going to be in a disadvantage in a close range gunfight because of the scope. And also, what makes this revolver even more different than the .44 mag is the fact that it can 2-tap anyone in the chest, its high destruction power and zero recoil, which can look too strong at first sight, but knowing the fact that you can only use the pistol while your gadget is active, I believe that this weapon needs to be better than the other pistols in the game. Once again, just like with Caveira. So overall I think it's smartly balanced, because it would be a bit too overpowered if you could use the AK while your gadget is active, and you can basically just use 41 bullets, which is more than what average weapons have, to spray anyone through a wall or a floor. So I think Ubisoft did a great job here again. His secondary gadgets are rather frag grenades or hard breach gadgets. In my opinion, these two are the best possible gadgets what he could have gotten, because if you play Deimos aggressively and hunting down your targets by yourself, you can use your nades to chase someone out from a corner, destroy utility like deployable shields, and even sometimes kill someone with frags, even though it's much more rare than before. But if you're playing him in a passive way, and you don't want to risk a very good intel operator in a potential gunfight, you can use the can openers to open reinforced walls/hatches by giving callouts of the opponent's position. And can openers can also be good if you or your teammates clear out the roamers, and then you can open walls or hatches. So once again, that's a huge plus point to Ubisoft, so as the fact that they made him 2 health and 2 speed, which is also just making Deimos much more versatile. And now, after I talked a lot about his unique gadget, let's see what it can actually do from one detail to another. His gadget is a death mark tracker, which is a small flying drone which cannot get shot out. This drone can be used 3 times in a round, starting from 0 in the early round and slowly charging up, just like with Legion or Vamai. And it's consistently giving you a life ping of the defender who you tracked. And when I say life ping, I literally mean that, because unlike if you shot an alibi prisma or you move when the lion scan is active, this gadget consistently pinging to Deimos. Just like the old lion, except the fact that it won't show him your outline, just the ping. If you want to track a defender, you need to spot him before you can track him, because Deimos can only track defenders who got revealed in the round, which is a very good thing once again, because now the red pings actually has an advantage over yellow pings. Because since you can yellow ping from drones and cams, the only time you red pinged so far, or red ping was actually useful, especially in a higher level, is when there was very little time on the clock and the attackers had to push in because of that. And by letting them know that they have been spotted, they play the much less safe, even though because of the late round, they got to focus on somehow winning it. But these situations were quite rare, and also from now on, the teammate drone which got shot out in the prep phase for no reason, now can actually help Deimos. So this is once again a very smart idea, which we got because of Deimos. The tracker needs 2 seconds to get active after you track someone, and after that it will ping the track defender for 15 whole seconds. And because this gadget would be extremely overpowered like that, this gadget has 3 big downsides. The first one is what we have already talked about, is that you can only use your pistol while it's active. The second one is when a defender is tracked, Deimos is the only one who can see him moving. The rest of the team can't, and they can only rely on the callouts from Deimos. And the third one is when the tracker is active, Deimos will also be pinged for the defender, but not as much as for him. You will see his movement like if he got lion scanned, but it pings him around 2 times slower, and if we're talking about lion, he's probably the best operator who you can combine with Deimos. If you are hunting down someone, especially a roamer, he has 2 options. One, if he stops, which can make him an easy wall/4 for Deimos, if he's not on a non-destructible surface, or 2, if he keeps moving, which will let all the attackers know his position, so if you are far from sight and you are not vigil, to burrow, or there is no mute jammer in your feet, you're basically screwed. And as you have probably guessed it, these 3 operators are the counters to Deimos. Because if you have a mute jammer or a Tubarao gadget right next to you, Deimos are unable to see you and you are wasting his ability, which you can also do with Vigil, but in a way different way. Because as Vigil, you can use this for your advantage. Since Vigil cannot be seen by Lion's drone or a normal drone anyway, he cannot be seen by Deimos either if Vigil's gadget is active. And this is exactly why I don't recommend anyone to track down a Vigil, because he can just turn on his ability in a moment and he can still see where Deimos is, and if he's not turning off and wasting one track of his own, he can be easily killed. But I mean, technically you already waste a tracker if you use that on a Vigil, so keep that in mind. Also, I don't recommend to track any anchor like Maestro, because anyway he's going to be on site, rather because of his gadget, speed or playstyle, so that's also just a waste. If you are using your gadget correctly, Deimos can be a counter to almost anyone and can completely dictate the tempo of the game. You can combine him with everyone, the rework blitz and ying, or simply just stun grenade operators to blind the defenders, entry operators who you can help taking control of the map early on, Dokkaebi calls to help the entries, and literally everyone can work just as well with Deimos if the Deimos player is giving good callouts, and even if he pushes by himself. And this is what I really like about him, because he finally got an operator who looks very good both in low and high ranks, and who looks very good both in solo or in a stack. And another thing to mention is that the presence of Deimos will potentially make Vigil way more picked, who almost got vanished since the arrival of Solis, and also getting an alternative option of Jackal, possibly making his sky high ban rate way less, but not useless because of the potential lot of Vigil picks, are just another examples of how important this operator is as the perspective of the game. So overall, even though we couldn't really see Deimos in play, with Deimos looks like we got someone who's looking to completely change the current clickpoint adventure rank meta back to how it should be played, and with a lot of game-changing factors. For me, the cleverly balanced looking and longly weighted Deimos was worth to wait, especially for the current terms of the game.